Gareth Southgate's squad is putting the fizz into a sizzling summer, but things could still fall flat, as there's a real fear we could run out of beer. Across Europe, breweries are slowing or even stopping production, because there isn't enough carbon dioxide to go around. It looked as though the CO2 drought was over as 3 of the UK's 6 suppliers went back into production, only for one of them, at Ince in Cheshire, to stop again after a fire caused a power cut. The problem has been caused by a perfect storm in the CO2 production sector. The gas is a byproduct in ammonia and ethanol plants, but summer is the quietest period in the calendar, so they tend to shut down for vital maintenance work. Producers of ammonia, the critical element in fertilizers, are busiest in the winter, preparing to see farmers through the spring growing season. But this year, the summer shutdown coincided with a spike in demand from the food and, particularly, drinks industry. Yesterday, I went behind the scenes at the Ince CO2 plant on Teesside's Wilton petrochemical site. The 100-strong workforce have been going flat out to make sure fans will have a pint in hand for the rest of the World Cup. England team might struggle to celebrate. Getty Images Europe. The plant shut down for 21 days in June for what bosses call its annual MO, a total overhaul of the site, which looks like something from Blade Runner. Workers in hard hats and blue and grey uniforms navigate the plant's one-way system on tricycles, which chiefs say are the quickest, greenest way. The magic happens in 8 gigantic fermenters, huge silver silos that tower on the edge of the seaside town of Redcar. Ince primarily produces ethanol, setting up the plant in 2010 in anticipation of a new green fuel ruling from the government that is still yet to be passed. Its secondary product is protein-rich animal feed and thirdly, but for now most importantly, CO2 at a rate of 500 tons a day. Ironically, in view of a looming beer crisis, the CO2 is created in an industrial-scale brewing process that results in the ethanol. Grain is delivered and fermented to produce the alcohol, which is piped under the River Tees to a processing plant in Billingham. The CO2 that creates is piped to the edge of the site and collected in 2 huge containers and liquefied to be taken to food and drink producers. CO2 containers at the huge Ince plant on Teesside. North News. Ince commercial director Grant Pearson said they could produce an endless supply of CO2 if the government delivered on a 2009 pledge to bring in greener petrol. All EU member states signed up to the Renewable Energy Directive, which requires 10% of road transport energy to be from renewable sources by 2020. France brought in the change in 2010 and Finland and Germany in 2012. If the fuel directive were brought in, Ince could expect to double production of ethanol, an essential addition to E10 petrol, and create a permanent CO2 supply. Grant said, "Our plant was built in 2010 with the expectation that the demand for our main product, ethanol, would surge with the introduction of E10. But 8 years later it still hasn't arrived. It means the plant is taking over, but we're still at risk if the demand reduces. We've been only too eager to help get the CO2 supply running again, but we'd like the government to help us by catching up with Europe and bringing in the greener fuel directive." The site was a hive of industry yesterday, but it's still a race against time to make sure the country doesn't go thirsty in what could be England's finest hour. But British Beer and Pub Association Chief Executive Brigid Simmons said drinkers shouldn't worry. She said, "Our message is clear, keep calm and carry on going to the pub. If your usual beer of choice isn't available, why not try something new? What is affected by the shortage? Beer and soft drinks. The gas is used to keep your favorite drinks fizzy. Some landlords have already reported shortages, and in places, wholesalers have limited the number of drinks people can buy. Wetherspoons have reported shortages of John Smith's and Strongbow. The 1,300 pubs owned by Punch Taverns have said they are running low on John Smith's, Amstel and Birra Moretti. But the British Beer and Pub Association have said drinkers have nothing to worry about. Meat packaging. To keep meat fresh, meat producers pump CO2 into the packaging. So the shortage might mean fresh meat is missing from shelves. British Meatpacking Association's Nick Allen said, "We are hoping that the increase in CO2 production will happen quickly. We have a number of plants that will be in difficulty by the end of the week if supplies do not materialize, and it will be very difficult to keep everyone stocked with meat. Meat production is at risk." Image, IM. Crumpets. Warburton's was forced to suspend crumpet production at 2 of its 4 bakeries because it did not have enough gas for use in packaging. But on Wednesday it reported that it has secured enough CO2 to restart production. The 2 factories in Enfield, London and Burnley, Lancs, produce 8.1 million crumpets a week. Crumpets have been hit by shortage. Image, food delivery. CO2 is also used to make dry ice, which is used to keep some supermarket food delivery fans cool. No supermarkets have yet issued a warning about the shortage affecting them. Dry ice. Image, science photo library. Abattoirs. CO2 is used in slaughterhouses to stun animals before they are killed and processed for food. Producers say that the shortage may damage animal welfare as they are forced to wait in crowded conditions before being slaughtered.